Traditional Chinese medicine has been around for over 2,500 years. But here's what's fascinating. Modern science is now validating many of its core principles about energy flow and wellness. Today, we're exploring how this ancient wisdom might hold solutions to our modern health challenges.
That's really intriguing, especially since we're seeing such a rise in stress-related health issues. What specifically drew you to study TCM's approach?
Well, you know how Western medicine often treats symptoms in isolation? TCM takes this completely different view where everything's connected. Your physical health, emotions, even the changing seasons. And get this, studies are showing that practices like acupuncture can increase endorphin levels by up to 200%. That's actually pretty significant. How does this whole system of energy flow, qi, right, actually work in practice?
So here's what's fascinating. TCM identifies specific pathways, called meridians, where energy flows through the body. When these pathways get blocked, that's when health issues start. Think of it like a garden hose. If there's a kink, the water can't flow properly.
Well, that makes sense in theory. But what does maintaining good qi flow actually look like in daily life?
It starts with something as simple as breathing. Studies show that just 5 to 10 minutes of deep diaphragmatic breathing can lower cortisol levels by up to 50%. And then there's movement. Practices like Tai Chi have been shown to improve balance by 45% in older adults and reduce fall risk by nearly 40%.
Those are some compelling numbers. What about the emotional aspects you mentioned?
Oh my gosh, this is where it gets really interesting. Each organ system is associated with specific emotions. For example, the liver is linked to anger, the heart to joy. Recent research has actually shown that chronic anger can increase liver inflammation markers by up to 70%.
That's wild. So our emotional state literally affects our physical organs?
Exactly. And here's something even more mind-blowing. Studies on the gut-brain axis are now showing what TCM has claimed for centuries. Our digestive system, or what TCM calls the earth element, directly influences our mental health. About 95% of our serotonin is actually produced in the gut.
You know, speaking of elements, I've heard about the 5 elements theory, but never really understood how it works. Could you break that down?
So picture it like this. Each element, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, represents different aspects of nature and our bodies. They work in a nurturing cycle, like a natural ecosystem. For instance, wood feeds fire, fire creates earth, ash, earth bears metal, metal holds water, and water nourishes wood.
That's such a different way of looking at health than we're used to. How does this translate into practical advice?
Well, let's take seasonal eating as an example. In winter, which is associated with the water element and kidneys, TCM recommends eating warming foods rich in minerals. Studies show this can boost immune function by up to 30%. And you know what's interesting? Modern nutritionists are now advocating for seasonal eating too, as seasonal foods can have up to 50% more phytonutrients.
I've noticed I naturally crave different foods in different seasons. That actually explains a lot. What about sleep and rest patterns?
This is crucial. TCM has specific recommendations for sleep based on organ system cycles. For example, the liver does its primary detoxification work between 1 and 3 a.m. Research shows that consistent sleep during these hours can improve liver function markers by up to 25%.
These connections between traditional wisdom and modern science are really compelling. What would you say to someone who's skeptical about trying TCM practices?
You know, I'd point to the growing body of research. For instance, a recent meta-analysis showed that acupuncture combined with conventional treatment improved chronic pain outcomes by 50% compared to conventional treatment alone. But, and this is important, TCM works best as a complement to modern medicine, not a replacement.
Looking ahead, where do you see this integration of Eastern and Western medicine going?
Well, major medical centers are already incorporating TCM practices. About 85% of US hospitals now offer some form of complementary medicine. The future likely lies in this kind of integrated approach, taking the best from both traditions to create more comprehensive healthcare solutions.
That's really encouraging to hear. Any final thoughts for our listeners? I think what's most exciting is how this ancient wisdom can help us address modern health challenges. When you consider that stress-related ailments account for 60 to 80% of primary care visits, TCM's holistic approach to balance and wellness becomes incredibly relevant. It's not about choosing between traditional and modern medicine. It's about using both wisely to create better health outcomes.